Welcome to the August 25th meeting of the City of Alpharetta's Code Enforcement Board. I'm Fred Smith, and I'm chairman of the board, and I now call this meeting to order. Please let the record show that the following members of the board are present: Mr. Bauer, Ms. McDonald, Mr. Rand, and Mr. Murphy. The board operates under the authority granted by the state of Georgia under Title 36, Chapter 74 of the Code of Georgia, and through the City of Alpharetta's Code Enforcement Ordinance. Let the record show that a certified copy of the codes and ordinances of the City of Alpharetta are part of the proceedings today. Having called the meeting to order and completed the roll call, we're now ready to approve the minutes of our last meeting. I think everybody's had a chance to look at those, and I will need a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Sorry.
A motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, do you want me to do it now, or do you want to start into the public hearing?
Do you want
Updates. Do you want me to do them now, or do you want to start into the?
Do you want to wait and do this part and do the updates now?
Okay.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
So I'm going to forego my usual introduction, and we're going to have an update.
So I believe Mr. Bauer asked, and it was a great idea. You guys, we don't meet that often, and so you're not a lot of times privy to what past cases that we've seen have come around full circle, or if they're still in violation, or what's going on. So the last couple, we had the RV that was behind the fence on Summerfield. They built a fence, moved the RV substantially back further in their property, and so made it in compliance. They were going to go for a variance and then decided that probably wasn't the best thing for them, and so they just did what we told them to do, finally. So that one got closed out. The most recent one, the Huntington apartment complex on Huntington Drive there, Officer Sabia and Jackson have been working with them all summer. It's been bad, it's been good, it's been medium. They did a few things. They put some cameras up. They do have a new on-site manager now instead of the person coming out of Florida. She seems to be quite responsive. In fact, Officer Jackson had a meeting with her earlier this week, and she had no clue that the property had even been to this board or there was any findings against it. She knew that work was getting done and that he was out there telling her, you need to do more, or great job, whatever, but she had no idea of the magnitude of it. So over the summer, we did fine them for 3 days. 3 days. That was paid today. They just came in and paid that today. They're currently in compliance. They're building a structure now that's going to allow for just a small hole to put more residential sized garbage bags through the hole that'll go into the dumpster, rather than just be a open free-for-all, whatever you can get over the wall into the dumpster. They do still have a problem that we don't have at many other ones, many other apartment complexes in the city, of people that are moving out, just dumping mattresses and things like that. But that's easier to clean up and get rid of. It's not a garbage issue, so it's not really a health problem, and that goes away pretty quickly, quicker than the big pile of trash from over the weekend, kind of thing. So I think we've got a win with them, but we don't want to pat them on the back just yet, because they got a little bit more work to do. So it's not a closed case. It's still open. We're still going to push the fines if they come out of compliance, but I got a feeling that they're on board now. They've figured that one out. So we will have. I know we've got one summons out already for October. My guys will be on training for the September timeframe for a meeting, so we've pushed everything to October. So I know we've got one out already for October, and the case that was going to be today will be transferred to October, one of the first case, the one from Karen Drive. So that'll be in October. So currently, we will be having an October meeting. I think we've got, what do you think, one or two more hanging out there that might become cases, but I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah. I know in reading the advance packet for the one that was deferred to October that there was a refusal to sign. Do you think that as part of the continuation, we have good perfection of service on that?
We probably shouldn't talk about that case, but I think if Molly wants to answer, the question, if somebody doesn't sign their summons or refuses to sign their summons, do you feel that is an issue? I mean, we've not really.
I can look into it a little further. I mean, if you're there and you hand it to them and they refuse to sign, in the context of court, like a magistrate court or a municipal court, sometimes the officers will simply write refuse to sign. It doesn't negate the fact that they received personal service. They just refuse to sign.
Okay.
And that's usually what we'll do. And then in part of our code, it's one of the ways of service is posting the property. So some of the times you'll see where we've got the pictures of the notices on the door and we've got a photo of it. It's because either they won't come to the door, they don't live there or whatever. So that's some of the times you'll see that. In fact, I think that's going to be, no, that was in the case that we'll be hearing in October. So that was a service thing then. But yeah, we've got, so Molly's firm is a new city attorney firm for the city. I think you guys have been for 3 or 4 months, 5 months?
We've been appointed since, I think, May 2nd officially.
Okay. So we're learning a lot from their group. So we'll be looking back and forth. Her and I had a great conversation yesterday on the phone about some of the stuff here, some alcohol stuff and things. So yeah, I think we're going to be seeing some code changes and some procedural changes and things like that in the future. We're also looking into one of the partners from their firm I heard did a great training on board, what would you say?
He talked about open meeting, open record things, just generally how board meetings should proceed. That's one of the areas that we focus on.
So we'll probably focus on when things slow down a little bit, maybe getting all of our boards together, Planning Commission, Design Review Board, you guys, Rec Commission, and just have a big joint meeting of, rather than bring them on, 5 times, let's just do it all at once. And it gives you a chance to meet the other board members and stuff like that too, so. We had one 4 or 5 years ago, yeah. Just kind of that was like a, little bit of how to structure some motions and different things like that. Yeah. So just a good little refresher, and I'm sure Alex will, make sure we have dinner or something for it. So
that's the important stuff.
So we'll let you know, but look for that coming up. Yeah, I don't know if we'll get it done before the holidays or not. We've got a lot of stuff going on in our department, so but we'll get it done soon because we want to do it. We know we need it. So, and I don't think I have anything else. Anybody? You guys got anything that they need to get updated on? Was just the notice on the notice of violation was one that was a refusal to sign. So it'd be the same thing, we'd post it or whatever. So we also try, some other things we try is like FedEx. A lot of people won't sign for a certified mail, but when FedEx comes, it's like, ooh, this must be something good, and so they'll sign for it. And sorry, but that's us. So whatever it takes. Okay. Thank you. Thank these guys. They're. not napping in their trucks or, you know. There you go.
So how do you want to proceed with this?
Molly found that it's okay, we proceed, correct? So,
Go ahead and consider the case that we have. So should I
Can I,
read that particular?
I just want to ask one question before we move on. I just saw that there's swearing in of board members on the agenda. Do we have any that we need to do?
No.
No? Okay. Sorry, before we proceeded with an actual case, if that was a threshold issue, I just wanted to ask.
I mean, I think we should.
For the legality?
I would just proceed in the ordinary course, however you would normally do it.
Okay, all right. The Code Enforcement Board of the City of Alpharetta is to judicially consider the evidence presented by both the city and the respondents in the cases that come before our board. The Code Enforcement Board does not enact the laws of the city, but rather determines that the laws have been applied fairly and imposed properly in the matters before us. If this board finds that the ordinances and the codes of the City of Alpharetta have been applied properly in the cases, the board may also then impose deadlines for respondents' compliance and can institute penalties for noncompliance. The city will present its case first. After the city presents its evidence and testimony, the board may then follow with questions for the city. Then the respondents will present their side of the case, and the board may also question the respondents. Upon the completion of the board's questioning, the board will then consider evidence and will present a finding of fact. If we find the respondent guilty, the board may then choose to issue orders requiring the respondent's compliance and impose appropriate penalties in the event of noncompliance. I caution the respondents to make good use of the time that they have at the podium. Once the board begins deliberation, there can be no more presentation of evidence. I ask that everybody remember two things. The first one is when addressing the board, please speak at the podium and speak directly in the microphone. And secondly, I ask that you address all of your comments to me, the chairman. I'll route them and handle them in the appropriate manner. These proceedings are part of the record, and if you're going to make testimony before this board, you will need to come forward and be sworn. I'll ask the city attorney to do that now.
If you can raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Our case today is CE 220386, 465 North Pine Drive, and that is Officer Sabia.
Yes, sir.
Proceed.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So like you said, 465 North Pine Drive. I'd like to go over the code first. Sure you-
That's that one? Yeah, he does that.
Yeah. Got it.
So the City of Alpharetta Property Maintenance Code, Section 302.4, I'm sure you guys are fairly familiar with. Weeds, all premises and exterior property shall be maintained free from weeds or plant growth in excess of 12 inches. All noxious weeds shall be prohibited. So this first page is just a summary of the events in relation to the case, any contact that I've had with the property. So the first contact I had was on June 1st. That's when I first observed the violation. A courtesy notice was issued with 7 days for compliance. I re-inspected it 3 different times. On June 15th, it was not in compliance. Went out again on July 1st. It was worse. It was still not in compliance. And then on July 13th, a notice of violation was issued to the property. Nobody had answered the door. It appears to be vacant. We've had some previous cases there before, which I'll go over. The notice of violation, like I said, was issued on July 13th. Nothing had been done with the property on August 2nd. I attempted to email and called twice a previous contact that Officer Jackson had with that property. She was in New York. No response on the email, no response on the phone calls. So we decided to do one last notice before the summons. August 5th, I sent out a express FedEx envelope mailer with that last notice in there to the residents. Again, no response from that as well. On August 12th, the summons was posted to the door. Just some property records here. We did our best research. It appears that at that property and the two owners listed, that is their only address on file on any of the public records. This is the Fulton County Board of Assessors, which has the two co-owners here, Barbara Veronica Yetman and Tarsha Philibert, as well as this GSCCA record again, 465 North Pine. Barbara again here and Tarsha Philibert there. So these are just the previous cases that we have record of in City Works in our system. There may have been more in the past. This one, these are all, I believe, from Officer Jackson. This was from November 12th, 2020, a C-click fix. So a citizen actually complained about this property. It was brought into compliance after some time. Another C-click fix complaint from a citizen on May 18th, 2021. After a few months, again, it was brought into compliance. And the most recent one from Officer Jackson on November 11th, 2021. So some of the pictures here, this is the front yard on June 1st, the first time I was out there. As you can see in the front here, certainly the grass and weeds are out of compliance. The courtesy notice issued with 7 days. Courtesy notice on June 1st posted to the door. That was the second reinspection for the front yard on July 1st. Nothing had been done on the property. On July 13th, just a broader view. This just demonstrates mainly the front yard and the weed growth. July 13th, the notice of violation posted on the door. August 12th here, again, the front yard, just more growth on the grass and weeds. Notice of violation was still posted to the door. This begins the back and the side yard. On August 12th, that FedEx envelope, the notice of violation and the summons posted to the door on August 12th. Let me flip this. So I know this is a little hard to see, not the best quality. That is the backyard where the fence was unsecured. I have another picture that demonstrates it better. It's a lot more excessive weed growth in the back. Some pungent smells as well. That is the side, the left side fence that was open. Those weeds are taller than me, and I'm 6 foot, so 7 or 8 feet tall weeds in the backyard all over. And another picture of the backyard on August 17th. Just to demonstrate, these were the two notice of violations. The first one on August 4th, and then the last one we sent just as another courtesy via FedEx to try to inform one of the homeowners. And then the summons that was posted on August 12th, 2022.
Does anybody have any questions for Officer Sabia? I have, when I noticed that the last time that with the FedEx package and the notice was on, you'd posted notices before. Had they disappeared or just?
So the first courtesy notice somehow was removed. The
Okay.
rest of them stayed, but the first courtesy notice I posted on June 1st at some point was removed.
Does it look like somebody lives there?
It does not. It's so unmaintained. It doesn't appear that somebody's been there for quite a while.
And you haven't heard from anybody at all?
I have not.
And I noticed one of the pictures that you had a car, part of a car in the driveway. Is that a car that belongs there or?
It's not. I found out later, spoke to the neighbor, and for whatever reason, their father had been parking.
Okay.
So yes, I thought it was somebody at first, but it wasn't any.
It's an empty driveway, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and just adding to that point, because I had the same note about the car, seeing the partial car, but then I also saw one of your pictures a lockbox, which would
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
indicate if they lived in the home, why would they have a lockbox right under the key?
Right.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you, Officer Sabia.
Sir, thank you.
Does the board have an idea of what direction you'd like to go with this?
I have a question, I guess maybe for the city attorney or to staff. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of effort to be able to contact the property owner and, or not. What is the next step that one can do to even try to get compliance out of them?
You want to take that or you want me to?
Yeah, well, as far as providing notice, that was actually what I was talking to Brett with about right now. It looks like, by the way, Brett, that the ordinance mirrors state law on that. So there is a provision if they are not getting the notice that we're trying to give them while we're working on it, that you can do notice by publication. That notice has to be published once during each week for 4 consecutive weeks in the newspaper, where basically like sheriff advertisements are run, or I'm trying to see. Yeah, I think that's basically it. We'd have to run it in a Fulton County newspaper where the sheriff ads are run. And you can provide that way. Notice by publication is the next option, essentially. That's when I think, and this is what I'm trying to work out right now, because I didn't realize, and my apologies, I didn't realize that it had just been posted without it being the certified mail return receipt requested, which is another option. Under certain, true criminal standards, due process would basically require that they have to be here, and if they don't show up, then it would be a bench warrant. That's not what we have here, because y'all are the administrative body. We've taken jail time off the table, so we're not dealing with, those kinds of fundamental rights that implicate that. And so I think that I would be comfortable moving forward if you know that the notice has been provided pursuant to what state law and the ordinance provides.
So in the past, and I may have this wrong, they're not exactly the same circumstances, but we have had an issue where we didn't have a response, but we knew who they were. And this goes back some years. And it was a health and safety issue, and then it just kept running and it mounted it up. And that the fines that we put on it became, the city put a lien on the property.
That's right, yes.
And so we have to wait until we do the notice in the paper before we can take that sort of action to start the fine process.
I think we're talking about 2 different things here. So,
Right.
Yeah, please.
Go right ahead.
I think based on what you're thinking, I know we'd been told that in the past, so we got to get past that. But I think what you're saying is we need to not take any action with this one right now until we do the certified mail. Now,
Right.
would be if they return a certified mail unsigned, which is probably what's going to happen here,
Then we do the notice by the newspaper.
then we do the notice by the newspaper.
And
Okay.
then you could take action And after that, if they fail to comply and you've imposed a sanction, the fine for that, and it goes unpaid, then we could proceed with that lien process.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know what the process.
So we'll get that all, we'll get the notice part all worked out. Just, I think, Robin, as a general thing, I had this conversation with the neighbor, and it's not a quick process. You know, this property already has multiple liens from Fulton County and some other folks, you know, but nowhere near the property value. So, you know, it may be a thing that we, you know, we need to work out with the new city manager, which I imagine you've all heard. We have a new city manager. Bob retired this month, beginning of this month. Chris Lagerbloom, who some of you may remember
He
from
was
from
sitting
this
here.
board. He sat here.
He sat right here.
It was a police officer here for a good number of years. He's now our new city manager. He may have some different feelings on how we move forward with those kind of things. In my 18 years, we've never had a budget to go onto properties and take care of the violation. I know we can get it ordered and get that done, but we've just not done that. Number one, we don't have that big of a problem here. I think if we had a larger problem, we might have that built in a little bit more. So it would just be a matter of when somebody's going to foreclose and get it taken care of, you know. We did find where we think the two owners might be living now. So we sent them just regular mail to see if we would get any response back from them. You did do it certified? Okay. So, but there's no confirmation that they live where they are. So, I mean, it was a tough conversation with the resident that's living right next door. I would, you know, and he kept saying, would you want to live there? I said, no, I would not. However, it's the procedure, it's, you know, where we're at.
So does the subdivision have an active HOA?
They do not. They do not. They have an HOA. He said that, yeah, they don't really do anything. And in fact, they told them, no, we're not going to address it. You know, it's the city can address it if they want to. So we're going to get it. We're going to get somewhere, you know, but if, you know, if it's any, I mean, even if it's any of y'all's neighbors, it's just going to be one of those things that's you know, could be a long time.
The legal organ is what now? Is it AJC or
No, it's the app and newspaper.
the Herald down here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see about that. We found in our property maintenance code that code section came from, that posting of the property is allowed. So we may need to tweak our ordinance to more read with that. But we'll let Molly do a little bit of study in here, see if she thinks it's okay, or if we should just postpone and hear it again in the October. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it. And
Yeah.
it's
But by then, we may know, you know, because it takes a few weeks for somebody, if they don't sign a certified mail, it takes a few weeks for that actually to come back. I don't know if the post office has a set, you know, we let it go for whatever, but it takes a good while till we get those back unsigned. So,
they try like 6 times or something.
do they?
And I don't know.
It's,
I'm just
yeah,
guessing.
something.
They try so many times they don't get to them. They let it go.
So sorry for this confusion, but we'll give her a couple minutes here and see what she comes up with. Anybody have any other questions for Officer Sabia or Jackson about the property or me? Anything?
No.
No?
So what sort of action do we need to take in this meeting?
So I'm looking at the code section in the property maintenance code that talks about notices for violations, and it does say that you can post. The problem you have there is that the notice that's required for you to be able to take action as the code enforcement board doesn't say that. And so I think the direction should just be that we continue trying to get the notice served via that publication, and continue to try to do other things, the certified mail return
we'll
receipt
keep
requested
going.
if they would sign it. And even if they never really get it, the ordinance and state law both say that once you do the notice by publication with efforts to actually personally serve them, that it is sufficient to show the notice requirements have been met regardless of whether they ever actually received the notice. And then you would be empowered to
Take action.
issue an order, and ultimately, if they don't pay for whatever fine they don't end up paying, put the lien on the property.
Now, do we have to vote on the action for the registered mail, or do we have to take, do we have to vote on
I
that
think
as a
right
board?
now, I think we're thinking that we just,
We don't need to take any action. We don't need to vote,
Take
say,
any
yeah, we
action
want
right
to,
now,
we
yeah.
don't want to, we want to put it in the legal organ, we want to do this, or,
No, I think that's something staff would just do in their ordinary.
so we don't need to do anything.
Right.
Or is
No,
it
no
perfect
actions
to
necessary.
defer? Is it a motion to defer the matter to the next meeting?
I think that would just be added back by staff to an agenda once staff determines that they've provided the notice that they need to, and I'll consult with them to make sure that that's good to go.
okay,
Great, okay.
sorry about that.
No, it's.
We're
good-
learning.
It's good to know what that process is and where we're going to go with it.
Yeah.
So that's good. So with that being said,
I think we can do a motion to adjourn.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion, we adjourn.
Got a motion? Do we have a second?
I second that emotion.
We got
Motion.
a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you all very, very much for being here.
Too much Motown this week.
There you go, there you go, got that emotion going on. So we'll, I'll